This video is designed to be a detailed description and explanation of CARS, what they are, how to do them, why we do them. So essentially CARS is an acronym that stands for Controlled Articular Rotations. In essence, what this means is that you're taking each of your joints through their full range of motion, and there is a rotational component to that range of motion. The point of CARS is basically threefold. We have maintenance, diagnostic, and exercise. So the goal essentially is to learn this routine and to do it every day, first thing in the morning. You can also do them throughout the day, that would be even better. And when you do them throughout the day, you do them at varying intensities. So first thing in the morning, you're doing your CARS at 20 to 30% intensity. And basically what this does is it helps to lubricate the joint with synovial fluid, prep the joint to go throughout the day. The main kind of point here is that you're maintaining the range of motion that you do have. The goal of CARS is to make them bigger and make them better, of better quality. So they're seemingly very simple, but they're actually very complex in the sense that you can continue to perfect and perfect and perfect. You can improve your range of motion and you can improve the performance quality, like exactly precisely how you want these to be done. So for that maintenance component, you are maintaining your range of motion, taking that joint through its full range of motion every day. You do not lose that range of motion. It sounds really, really simple, but in reality, most of us have lost the ability to do things that we could do at one point when we were kids, because at some point down the road, we stopped touching our toes, sitting on the floor with straight legs, really truly reaching overhead without bending our arm from the back, et cetera, et cetera. So you develop these kind of movement ruts. This is just always how you reach overhead, and it becomes a kind of a smaller and smaller and smaller option pool for that movement, which basically means you're starting to wear certain joints out and stress certain joints rather than being able to have more movement options and evenly distribute loads. Hopefully that doesn't make sense to you right now. It will at some point down the road when you start to understand how CARS improve your joint capacity, quality of movement, and options. Okay, so it's got that maintenance component. You're maintaining your range of motion. You're also lubricating that joint, and you're also giving yourself a diagnostic tool to be able to tell, like, oh, my shoulder's not feeling too good today. Maybe I need to do a little bit more mobility work rather than doing some heavy overhead lifting. Or if I'm planning to do that lifting, do the mobility first, make sure the joint is better prepped, spend more time on that joint before I do this. That will help me not injure that joint. It also can tell you how much range of motion you have in that joint and whether or not it's sufficient for what you do. So for example, you're really into Olympic weightlifting, or you're baseball, you want to throw pitch baseball, but you have zero shoulder external rotation. That's going to be tough. Or you want to Olympic weightlift and you have no internal shoulder rotation. How are you going to keep the bar close to your body without doing some weird technique things that basically you've got to fix if you want to do that sport? So it tells you if you have enough range of motion. It also tells you if the joint has any aches and pains, if you need to seek out a therapist if it's really bad. And it also can tell you how much motor control you actually have. So the CARS are very specific. We want to isolate a given joint completely. And so that is the goal. That is what is actually difficult about these. Joint isolation is a lot easier than it sounds. So for example, the shoulder is really easy to use. While you're doing your shoulder CAR, we want zero movement from the rest of the body. So just the shoulder is moving. But what often winds up happening is there's usually some sort of jive happening here as a compensation, whether or not we're aware of it. So say you take a video of yourself doing your CARS and you think you're doing this, but what you actually see is this. Just this little tiny bit is enough to be imperfect motor control. You got to work on that. So we're continuing to perfect these things, diagnostic, maintenance, and then also for exercise. So exercise, you can do these, 20 to 30% when you first wake up, really easy going. We're not pushing anything, and then you're going to go to the gym perhaps, and you're going to do them at 50% prior to your other warm-up or before getting going. And then maybe you are traveling and you don't have access to a gym. You want to do them at high intensity for exercise. You can do them at higher volume, you can do them at different speeds, you can really do anything with these. So again, they're very versatile, maintenance, diagnostic, and exercise. And then kind of the way that these are designed to be done, if you're doing them at that 20 or 30% intensity, the rest of the body is actually held at a higher tension. So you'll be holding the body at 40 to 50% when you're doing 20 to 30% with the moving part. What this does is it helps limit compensation. So if you're really tight in your core, it's harder to wiggle. And it also communicates to the nervous system that it's a more important exercise. I know that this sounds kind of like a gimmick, but it actually works. So that's the reason that we do that at higher intensities. The videos coming up with cars, we've got a straightforward morning routine where you're just going through the full cars routine. There's no coaching points. It's just something that once you get better at these, you can just follow that from the beginning. But I do encourage you guys to view the other video, which we're going to put out, a couple videos on coaching points for the different cars, just because you'll get used to doing them and you'll forget about a few of the things that you could be remembering to work on technique-wise. So I encourage you to go back and review the coaching points on the cars periodically to make sure that everything is going as planned. I guess that's all I can say about the cars. It's kind of a lot. But that's it. Maintenance, diagnostic, exercise. Make sure, the one main thing I forgot to mention, you want to avoid painful ranges of motion. So while you're doing your cars, if at any point you feel especially closing angle pain, stretching pain is okay. It should be mild though. It shouldn't be, intense stretching pain. But what we call a closing angle pain is when the joint is closing. If you have pain on this side, if you're doing your car and it hurts over here, stay out of that. And generally, if you do have a closing angle pain, this is not something that is really that fixable with exercise. Maybe over a long period of time it'll go away, but it would be best for you to seek out the help of a therapist. If you're really lucky, you have a functional release practitioner nearby. But if not, you'll have to find some kind of a qualified manual therapist to help you work on those specific tissue angles. And that's basically it. Okay, thanks.